Well, April was probably my worst reading month since I started this channel. Let's talk about it. Hey, fantasy fans, welcome back. It's Dan here with Treebeard Book Reviews. And today I'm just going to be doing a recap of what I read, or I guess read and failed to read in the month of April. April was, like I said, it was the worst reading month I've ever had on the channel in terms of most disappointing reads and just, characters I didn't enjoy, stories I just didn't enjoy. And it was weird because it was my birthday month. I was hyping myself up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to pick some great books. I'm going to just have the best birthday month of reading ever. And I just I don't know what I was thinking. I just completely overshot it, or I don't know, I lost sight of what I like. And what I like is good characters. And a lot of these series that I read this month, or the past month of April, just had really shitty characters, or characters I just don't like. And I'm kind of gonna go through each of the books that I tried to read. And this is weird because this month had some of the worst books I've read, up to date for the channel, and some of the best books I've read. So, like I said, it's a complete mixed bag where I fell on both sides of the spectrum. Where some of these books I loved and they're gonna be in my top books for the year, and some of these books I'm like, these were hot trash for me. They're not necessarily bad books. They weren't good for me. I know a lot of people, a lot of booktubers go, oh, this is my opinion, this is my opinion. Well, yeah, this is my opinion, but I just empirically thought these books weren't good. So, let's get into these books. Why don't we start? We'll go worst to best. We'll get rid of the crap first, and then we'll work our way up to the stuff that I really want to talk about that I enjoyed reading in the month of April. So, I ended up DNFing one book. I held a book. One book I'm not going to be doing a review for because it's absolute tripe. So the first one was actually a buddy read I put on the channel. I started it with Jonathan over at Words in Time, and that was The Shadow of the Torturer by Gene Wolfe. This book just did not click with me at all. I really did not like the main character, Severian. It was boring. The book was so boring for the first 100 pages. I didn't care about any of the characters. Didn't like this main character, and he had a really unhealthy relationship with women. Is a good way of, maybe the only right way of saying it. Just very, not grotesque, but just very creepy and very off-putting. And I just didn't like the story. Like I said, I got about 100 pages in, and I was like, okay, this is enough. I just was bored the whole time, and I didn't like this main character. I was just like, yeah, just gone. Don't like it. I'm probably not gonna pick up the rest of the series, so I think that's actually gonna be a DNF donate. So I'm probably gonna go end up donating that. If you are interested in picking up the copies I got, maybe we can arrange something for you to get them. I don't know. So yeah, so that was my DNF, straight DNF for the month. I actually talked to Jonathan over, Jonathan at Words in Time. I was like, what did you think? He's like, yeah, it wasn't for me. I'm not going to continue. I'm like, yeah, same. And I know people love it, and it's one of those cult classics. For me, he's just not my writer, Gene Wolfe. And like I said, I'm a really character-driven, reader. So if the character's not gripping me, and I just felt bored the whole time, I'm going to put you down. So the next book I put on hold. This isn't a DNF. It is on hold for now. And I think it was just, I put it on hold because, and it's The Drawing of Three by Stephen King. And it's because I just, I picked it up after The Shadow of the Torturer, and then I picked it up after one of the audiobook listens I'm going to talk about. And I was just not feeling any of the books I was reading. And I'm sick of it. I'm not enjoying it. And so I like the first 40 pages where that's happening at the beginning of this book. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is interesting. Stuff's happening. And then it just starts getting weird. And I was just like, oh, I just don't like this. I'm not enjoying this Dark Tower. And maybe this is just a sign that Stephen King isn't for me. I didn't enjoy The Gunslinger. This didn't super grip me for the first, I think I'm where am I at here? Yeah, I'm 80 pages in. It wasn't gripping me. And then also like I DNF. Like maybe Stephen King just isn't that author for me, and maybe it's time for me to unhaul all of his books because I just don't think he's going to be an author I'm going to read, and I could put books there. I have books that can go on that shelf, so that's going to be something I'm going to have to think about because yes, just Stephen King isn't working for me. The Dark Tower really isn't working for me. It's on hold for now. I'm not going to pick it up in May, that's for sure. So yeah, the Dark Tower, it's okay. So then, now this book, this is an audible listen, and I thought I would give it another attempt because, I've been listening to this author, listening to a lot of his audiobooks, and I've really enjoyed them. So that author's Neil Gaiman, and that book is American Gods. Oh, this book sucks. This book sucks so much. Honestly, this is like one of the most ball-achingly boring books I've ever read. Like, Shadow is like the worst main character. It's so boring. Like, there's nothing redeeming about Shadow. Like, cause I like darker, maybe not anti-hero. I can relate to villains. I can relate to anti-heroes, but I just can't relate to someone who's boring. And this is what this main character in this book is, Shadow. He's just so boring. And maybe the narration I listened to, it was just like, I was falling asleep while I was walking my dog, doing the audio listen for this. And it wasn't bad enough for me to put down in DNF, but it wasn't good enough for me where I was just kind of like hate listening to it by the end. So Neil Gaiman, this American Gods is absolute shit. It's a D for donate, so buy, donate, you're gone. I'm never gonna read that book again. I do have the Anansi Boys. I will give the Anansi Boys a try just because Anansi or Mr. Nancy in the book was my favorite character. I'm gonna try it, and that one could be, hit or miss. Like, I could see it going either way. American Gods, second time I've tried it, second time I didn't like it. I at least finished it this time. It still sucked. Just none of the characters I liked. Like, yeah, it was bad. All right, so going on with another audiobook listen I did in the month of April, and that was Abaddon's Gate. So there is a review for this on the channel. It was just, again, all these books just come down to bad characters for me. I didn't like Shadow in American Gods. I didn't like Severian. The Gunslinger's okay. Roland's okay. He's probably the better of all the characters. But in this one, Abaddon's Gate, it just had some characters I really didn't like. Like, I didn't like Melba. I'm not a huge fan of James Holden. So it's just like, all these characters are just not working for me. And I just felt like, I felt like I had such a miss this month. I just felt so let down by the books that I picked, and it's my own fault. And I was really excited for a lot of these books, and I think that's one of the biggest things too, is not going in with expectations. Is set your expectations low so you don't get disappointed. And that was really it. Like, I went in with maybe too high expectations, expecting to like these. Like, maybe not American Gods, because I know I'd read some of that. I knew I didn't like it, and this just really reaffirmed I didn't like it. But yeah, this one just, the plot was okay, but it's just the characters that really didn't work. James Holden was actually one of the better characters in this book. I mean, he was still probably third of my favorite. Like, my favorite was Anna, and then Bull, James Holden, and then Melba. She was just a character I really did not like. Did not like listening to her POVs. So I was just like, crap. So yeah, those are the reads I didn't enjoy. And so now I'm going to get to the books that I did, and these are like, these books, so I went from the absolute worst to the absolute best, because some of these books are just like, whew, like right to the top of my favorites list. So let's get on with I'll continue with Audible, or continue with audiobook listen. So I listened to The Hobbit narrated by Andy Serkis, and man alive, it was so good. Obviously, I've read The Hobbit multiple times. And it's not one of those that I reread every year, like The Lord of the Rings, that I typically like to reread. But this one, it was just, I was like, okay, I need something to pick me up after, having these two bad audiobook experiences. And so I was like, okay, The Hobbit's good. Andy Serkis is good, because he voiced Gollum, and he's just an amazing, voice and, actor in general. I should love this, and I did love this. I'm going to be doing a designated review for the audiobook version of this book, So wait for that review. That'll be coming out hopefully soon. So yeah, I'm not gonna say any more, but it's really good. It's really good. It's just one of those you're waiting like with a big grin on your face for a certain chapter. You guys all know what chapter that is. So yeah, so that is one of my favorite books of this month of April. Next, so these next two, you guys saw my rating, my tier rating. So Legends and Lattes was one of my favorite books. It was like the next two are tied because this was excellent. This one, I went in with no expectations. It's just like, oh, I'll give it a read. It looks great. Absolutely loved it. I've done a review of this on the channel for this book. I've interviewed the author, Travis Baldry. Yeah, guys, if you haven't read Legends and Lattes, pick it up, read it. I still want to talk about it in the channel. It's one of those books, I could even see myself rereading it this year. It was that flipping good, and it's so quick. Like, I could probably reread it in a day if I got, say if like the kids went to the in-laws for a few hours and I was by myself and I could just, sit down with a cup of coffee and just plow through it. So, yeah. So, the last book, and this is I finished it on the 1st of May, but I just couldn't put it down. Like, I think I read it in actually like 3 sittings, but it was so flipping good. And it's Night Watch. It's Night Watch by Terry Pratchett. This may be my favorite book of all time. It was that good. So maybe this is going to be a spoiler for my review eventually, but this, guys, is an absolute masterpiece. It saved the month of April for me. Not that April like needed to be saved, I guess. Like, 'cause I think I started with Legends and Lattes, and I really dug it, obviously. And I just had all these books in between that were just like blue, 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 and then I just had to pick myself up with this Night Watch, and it was a darker Discworld book. I cannot wait to talk about it. I do love, on this, like, if you know any kind of like art history. I took some art history classes when I was in university, and there is the artwork by Rembrandt that is called Night Watch, and then you have obviously the cover that is very reminiscent of that. So yeah, guys, a totally mixed month. I already know May's gonna be better. The biggest thing I found for me is doing a bit more research on some of the characters that are in books, because I know I'm a character-driven reader, and if a character's not gonna grip me, I'm probably gonna end up DNFing or not liking the book. So I'm gonna start, strategizing around like what I like, obviously, and picking those types of series. And I know people said just stick with the Gunslinger, stick with the Dark Tower. It picks up. I get it. I said it's on hold. It's not a complete DNF. 2 books are completely gone. They're gone. I think I might actually be doing a book on haul video soon, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, guys, yeah, that is recapping of the month of April. Not the best month. Yeah, it wasn't the best month. Let's just say it. It wasn't the best month, but I learned a lot from it, which is all this channel is really about, is learning a lot, trying new things, and exploring my reading tastes. And I kind of fell back on some classics like The Hobbit, Discworld, and Legends and Lattes is really reminiscent of the Discworld, that kind of standalone-ish, like not slice of life. Well, it is slice of life, but not Discworld isn't typically slice of life. But very character focused, dealing with small problems in a big fantasy world. So anyways, if you like the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you next time. Cheers.